Good evening.
I think it might. Is it just for the cams? So you're
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's just okay. I'm sorry. Good evening. My name is Jim Arp. I'm with Perfect Game. I'm from the home office where it all started in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'd like to thank you for being here. Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And just like to thank the parents for making the trip down, bringing your kids down here to this event. Got a lot of good things for them going on. And one of those things is going on here tonight right now. Besides the good weather, we've got some other stuff going. The seminar tonight, going to be very good for you, especially the young players that don't have, a lot of knowledge of what to expect, what's as far as recruiting and what's coming your way. So these guys here tonight are going to help you understand the upcoming process, give you a lot of tips as far as how to handle recruiting, give you a lot of tips on how you got to be proactive. The game has changed, recruiting has changed, and to be honest with you, the Perfect Game has changed that. Showcases and showcase tournaments have given coaches the opportunity to stay home with their families, saving the universities money for travel, getting their information from our organization through the showcases we run, through the reports that we post, the player profile on our website, all the numbers, the rankings, all the tweeting, all the blogging that we do. Coaches are getting that information now through us or from us through all the service that we provide. And here to go over that tonight, we have Tom Korick Jr. from SkillShow. We have, over here we have Don Mitchell. And Don is with College Baseball Advisors. Don has a wealth of information, former player, former coach, scouting advisor. I mean, he's been through it all. He's done it all. So there's a lot of information here. We also have Mr. Gord right here, Nelson. So these guys are going to help you. They're going to explain it to you. Pay attention to them if you would, please. It's going to be a good 45 minutes worth of your time, believe me. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom Jr., and thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Jim. Hi, guys. Again, my name is Tom Korick. I'm with SkillShow. We do all the video for Perfect Game events. This is, how many guys here is their first Perfect Game showcase? It's a good amount right there. So I think this is my 21st. So we've been doing, 21st of this exact event. We've been doing this event for 20 years now, since 2001. Anyone here born in 2001 that's a player? No. So we've been doing this event since before you were born, right? So if you're first player here, what we've learned over the years is by coming to all these events, while we just do the video portion, we learned quickly, a lot of the parents would come and they'd ask about the video or they'd order the video that we do. And then we'd find out that they didn't necessarily know how to use the video. And even the event this weekend, I mean, you guys make a pretty good investment in time, money, effort to come down on a holiday weekend, right, and play baseball. And we learned a lot of parents and families didn't know necessarily how to use the weekend to their advantage. So we got to, in our booth, we have a booth here at the event, and you'll see our guys running around with cameras too. But we got to realize that because most of the families coming through, they're kind of running through the process. I mean, how often you're trying to join the best travel team, play for the best school, get the best lessons, training, buy the best equipment. But when you start running like that, you don't always really know kind of what you're doing or have a plan. So in doing these events and doing, having a booth out there and talking to so many parents, we figured wouldn't it be better if we just kind of got together, spoke a little bit about the college recruiting process as a whole, not specifically video, just the process so you guys can get a little better feel for what you're in for this weekend and kind of what to expect going forward. So we started doing these seminars, and tonight I'm lucky enough to have Don Mitchell here with College Baseball Advisors. Don actually is a former scouting director with the Arizona Diamondbacks, national cross-checker with the Atlanta Braves. He was a college head coach. He was a college athletic director, was a player. We got Nelson Gord here, former professional baseball player, NCSA advisor for 8 years now, is that right? Okay, college coach, head coach in college, a high school coach, travel ball coach. So from an experience standpoint, the group you have right here, if you guys want to listen for about 30 or 40 minutes, we could probably give some knowledge to you, hopefully that helps you guys going forward. That makes sense. Don, do you want to do anything on the opening before we go into?
I will. Yes, thank you. I will mention one thing before we get started and talk about the important things for your future. I will tell you this, that over the years I've learned that everybody thinks they know about college recruiting. You have a neighbor, you have a friend, you have a relative that wants to give you advice. So I'm very confident that at some point this evening we're going to say something that you disagree with, you have a problem with, you don't like it. It's real simple, just interrupt us. Just interrupt us. Not going to hurt our feelings. The most important thing is for your sons gets the right information for their future. It's about their future. So we don't want you getting in the parking lot later tonight saying, you know what, I don't think that mean guy, I don't agree with what he said. Just interrupt us. We'll talk about it, okay? So that's just one thing. Everybody has an opinion. We have ours, and it's based on a lot of years of experience being around this industry. So that's what I would say to start with.
Excellent. So from a presentation standpoint, from the player's perspective, it's really important to know just right off the bat in a college recruiting standpoint, and the word you're going to hear a lot tonight is proactive, right? We all want to be pros in baseball, but you got to be proactive now. The reason you want to be proactive is, look, I was a high school baseball player in the Philadelphia area. I was really good in my area, like a lot of you guys was, all county or all township, all tournament, whatever it was. I mean, I made the all-star teams like most of you guys do, but I was under-recruited for college. I had 3 schools look at me and contact me randomly. One was down the street, which you would expect a coach down the street, a school down the street to know you. One was down in Florida. Again, I was in Philadelphia. I'd never spoken to the coach, didn't know them, but found out that they got some letters and found they recruited me. And the other team happened to win the College World Series that year, the #1 team in the country. And I kind of realized through that process that it was really random. Like, how is that possible that the #1 team in the country just won the College World Series, was flying up to watch me play, and there's only one other school outside of the guys down the street that knew who I was. And I realized, and then luckily enough, I got a college scholarship, played Division I college baseball at Villanova University. I got drafted by the Chicago White Sox. I played 4 years of pro ball in the minor leagues. Never made the big leagues, but grinded out in the minor leagues. And I feel like I'm here today because I didn't necessarily make it, and I was always grinding because I always wanted to make it. And that's what this process is right now for you guys. If you really want to make it, and you're willing to grind, and you're willing to do some work, you can get some levels that are just awesome. And the truth is, the first level you got to look at, you can't look at pro baseball yet. You got to look at college first. Even those top, the blue chippers, the top 1%, those guys have to look at college first. The draft doesn't happen until June of their senior year, after they graduate. But they try to commit their junior to the early November of their senior year is commitment time, right? So those guys are all committed. Even the top players you're seeing on TV in the All-American game and stuff, they're committed to college first, and the pros are an option later after the draft. So you guys are in the same boat. You got to think college first. I hope you all get a chance to get drafted, but let's just think about college, the proactive process. The college recruiting process is and always will be from here on out, players. It's up to you. Okay, mom and dad can't write your letters. They can't talk to coaches for you. I'm not saying they can't physically. They can. The problem is the college coaches need to hear from the players. The college coaches, you're the guy who will be in the dugout someday with the college coach. And that college coach isn't just a recruiter. He's also the coach on the field, coach in the dugout, the assistant coach. He's the guy that's at practice. So if he doesn't really get a feel for you or bond with you, he's probably not recruiting you. We'll talk about that later on too. But you got to realize that you guys have to do the work in the recruiting process, not mom and dad. They had their chance. They had their chance to play sports or get jobs, do whatever they're doing in life. This is your chance now, so you got to take advantage. So that we have about 5 things we'll go over tonight, 5 takeaways in the college recruiting process. And just starting with the first one here, we'll go first with academics. Academics, as much as the parents like this topic, great, but there's a reason we bring up academics first for the players too. And I'll let Don start, and then I'll come in.
Players, I know that your parents get on you about your grades. I know your teachers, your coaches get on you about your grades. I'm just a baseball guy. I'm going to get on you about your grades, okay? Without a doubt, academics is where it's at if you want to expand your opportunities going into college. You guys are young, so now's the time, okay? I know that you have to spend a certain amount of time every day on Snapchat, Instagram, watching people do funny dances on TikTok. I know you got to spend 2 or 3 hours a day doing that, right? You better budget time for your academics, okay? I put together a little resource guide a number of years ago, but the very first section is on academics, and that's for a reason, okay? There are 1,667 colleges that offer baseball opportunity. 1,667. Can you guys hear me back there? Okay. 1,667. Most of those, you have to be a good student to get in. Everybody knows about the real high academic baseball schools like Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, Tulane, not to leave out any, some others. But a lot of your Division I mid schools, your Division II, NAI, Division III, very good baseball schools, you need to be a good student. And the days of getting an exception academically because you're a good athlete are over. College coaches have something called the APR, Academic Progress Rank, that their student athletes are judged by, they're judged by as coaches by the academic standards of their team. So you need to be a good student. Now, this has been on social media now for a while, but 10 plus years ago, we started talking about the fact that if you let your GPA fall 1/10, okay, so if you're sitting there with a 3.8 GPA and you let it fall 1/10 to a 3.7, you just eliminated 125 colleges that can recruit you. Different way of thinking about it, right? Now, the positive side is you add a 10th, you add 125 colleges that can recruit you. One of the worst feelings in the world is to get a letter from a college coach, hey, I saw you at the main event down in Perfect Game. I really like you. I like your ability. I want to keep track of you. I want to follow you. It takes a 3.5 GPA to get into our school, and you're sitting there with a 3.3. That's a sick feeling right there, right? They could think you're the best prospect in the country, but you can't get in there. So, can't stress it enough how important academics are. One more little tip before we move on. When it comes time to take the ACT and the SAT, take both of them. Both of them. Because some colleges will put more value in one score than the other. Some students will test better in one of those tests than the other. So take both of them. They have a grid system in college. Being a former athletic director in college, I have a grid system to determine your academic award that you might get. And so my middle daughter, her ACT score was enough to get her into some scholarship competition. When her SAT score wasn't, well, she did well on the interview part. That got her an $18,000 tuition waiver for 4 years. I'm not great in math, but I know that's 72 grand because I didn't have to write the check, right? Now, none of my daughters are athletes. They couldn't hit this stage with a bat. But as an athlete, you want to give the college coach the best opportunity to put together the best package for you to come after you. If they know who you are, we'll talk about that in a minute. Nothing's going to happen if they don't know who you are and if they don't like you. But if they know who you are, you want to give them the best opportunity to come at you with the best package. One more thing. Sorry, Tom. NCAA Division I schools have 11.7 full scholarships to divide up amongst all of their 35 players, even returning players. 11.7. It's not like football where they have 85 scholarships, okay? Division II has 9 full scholarships to divide up amongst all their players, even returning players. NAIA has 12. Division III has money. I hear it all the time. Well, I don't want to go to a Division III school because they don't have scholarship money. All right? If your son, is this your son? You claim him? Okay. So if you get an invoice in the mail from a good baseball Division III school with a good coach and the invoice says minus $20,000, do you care if it says athletic scholarship beside it? I don't think so. As long as he's in a program that he's a valuable part of the team, getting his degree, getting an education. So because those scholarships are limited, you need to do everything you can to have that college coach put together the best package, and academics are a big part of that.
Great. Just to add to that, add to academics for just a second. Think of it this way. If you're a really good ball player, okay, and a lot of you guys are young, right? Some of you guys are pre-high school, is that right? How many guys are here not in high school yet? All right, great. So you don't have a grade point average yet in high school, right? So here's the thing. If you're a really good ball player, and the guy sitting next to you right now is also a really good ball player, and you're on a college coach's list, maybe it's your dream school, and he's got better grades than you do, if I'm a college coach, remember, college coaches are people just like us, right? They didn't go to some school for recruiting. They didn't go, they played ball, and they got a college coaching job, and they love it, and they're passionate. At the end of the day, it's a path of least resistance, right? They want to commit the best players they can, and they don't want that player to be a problem when they do come to the school. So the guy sitting next to you is a better student than you or has better grade point average than you when you're being recruited. The chance is the coach is like, well, the guy with the better grades, I'm pretty sure he's going to stay eligible when he comes here and he's going to do well, and I don't have to worry about him maybe falling off. So he might get, the guy next to you right now could be getting recruited over you because he just applied himself a little more when he was in high school. Or he took the college prep tests for the SATs and the ACTs and got a little better score. So for all you guys, as much as, we talk about academics and some of the players like, let's talk about baseball. I get it. But just for the very first thing you got to hear tonight, you guys have time to do well in school. And if it means the difference for you getting into the college that you really dream about and not, you heard it here, okay? You had time. So you had that time. So that's academics. That's number one. Number two in the college recruiting process, or list of 5, is a third-party scouting report. A scouting report somehow that's not from mom and dad. So in the college recruiting process, if I'm a college coach, okay, and Nelson's a college coach, if he gets an email or a note from a kid or a recruit says, I want to play at your school, I mean, he can hear from mom and dad, and he can hear that this kid throws like 93 miles an hour, and that's great. But the truth is, what you get in the backyard, or what maybe even your high school coach, who you love and is really a great reference for you guys. But the truth is, you really need to have some form of scouting report that comes from someone who understands the industry, understands the country, someone who's done it for a few years. And the good news is, you guys are here at Perfect Game this weekend, right? You made that investment, that time, the travel and everything like that. Perfect Game is second to none in the industry, the top independent scouting service there is. So by coming here tonight, you actually have guaranteed yourselves early on in your recruiting process, if you haven't been to one already too, you're going to get a scouting report. You're going to get a ranking, if you will. The rankings I wouldn't worry about this young, but you're going to get some form of grade, some kind of measurements and all that kind of stuff. So the good thing is in the recruiting process, you've kind of gone into step 2 already just by showing up here this weekend and going out there, playing hard, playing your best, running as hard as you can, always hustling as hard as you can. And the thing, we didn't say this earlier, but the number one thing you got to do this weekend is have fun, because you'll play as loose as you can. But Don, you want to talk a little about the scouting report?
So college coaches are looking for reliable resources, all right? Reliable resource. Sorry, parents, but you're not a reliable resource to a college coach. I'm a parent. I thought my 9-year-old was the best piano player ever, okay? So you're not, so you need a reliable resource. As Tom mentioned, you made a first big strategy move, a positive one, by coming to this event, because Perfect Game is considered the #1 reliable resource for evaluation. Now, there's other things that come into play that we'll talk about here shortly, but #1 is you have a reliable resource for a college coach. When you can look on Perfect Game website and see all the professional players and 1,000+ big leaguers that have come through Perfect Game events. So college coaches do utilize Perfect Game as the #1 resource on evaluating players. The other thing you have to be careful with, a lot of people think for some reason that your high school coach is the one that's supposed to be responsible for your son to be recruited. Do we have any high school coaches in here? I don't see any. All right, it is not, okay, hello, sir. So he may disagree, I don't know. But it's not in his job description. It's not in your high school coach's job description to get every one of his 25 to 45 players recruited. It's like anything else. It's a full-time job to do this the right way. So be careful. Don't think that it's they'll do everything within their power to assist your son. I mean, most high school coaches around the country, do you think they're doing it for the money? Dragging the field, working with probably a varsity and JV team, making about a $2,000 or $3,000 stipend? No, they care about your son. But they have a family. They have to teach. They have to work on the field. And so don't make the mistake of thinking that it's your high school. Now, if you ask them, will you help us, they're all going to say yes, because they're afraid you go to the athletic director and say, Coach said he wouldn't help us, right? So, again, a reliable resource, a true reliable evaluation of a player, you need to have that as part of their total recruiting package.
Yeah, and just to be clear, too, we said Perfect Game is a scouting service. Well, look, the high school coach, even your travel ball coach, that is valuable. There is a third-party non-family reference for you there. You need to use those. So when we talk about the second thing in the process, which is a third-party scouting report, utilize your high school coach for some information. Utilize your travel ball coach. Utilize the Perfect Game scouting reports you get here. These are all tools for you guys. But the point is, you do have to get some of that information in a place that's findable and readable by coaches, so they have access to that information. Because your high school your high school coach or your travel ball coach knows what kind of leader you are, what kind of teammate you are. Well, you may not find that from a scout here at an event like that. They don't see as much of you on a long-term basis. So all that has value. So in the process, in this part of the process, the third-party scouting report, make sure you figure out which resources you have to use and try to gather that information together to use in your advantage, okay? The third piece of the puzzle, and we're going to try to keep this to 30 to 40 minutes, so we'll kind of move through quick. But the third piece is video. And video is kind of near and dear to my heart, but I'll let Don start it off.
Okay, so Tom runs SkillShow. Okay. I used to do video for players. I've seen all kinds of videos over the years. So typically what will happen is someone will try to do some video on their own. You see it at ball games you go to. You sit in the stands, then your son come up to the plate, you step up and try to videotape him. That's great to have as memories. But for a recruiting resume, and that's what this is, a resume, you need the right skills video these days. This is not about taking a few highlight clips of him getting the base hit that wins the game and popcorn's flying in the air. but you were out front on that swing, right? And that's not the video clip we want a college coach to see. So sometimes you take a great swing that a college coach would want to see and it doesn't result in the game-winning hit. But a lot of people will put that, they'll take some of that on their own, post it on YouTube, check it every day, and it goes from 34 views to 37 views. We think it's 3 college coaches. No, it's your 2 aunts and your grandma that checked it for the 4th time. Really, I mean, that's not how college, you have to think about this strategically. Okay, so definitely SkillShow is the #1 in the business. #1, you have to have different angles, different distances away. As a pitcher, different angles of a delivery. As a hitter, different angles as a hitter. Okay, so it's very critical. Can't tell you how critical it is because the majority out of 1,667 colleges that offer baseball, only about the top 50 or so Division I's have much of a recruiting budget. 92% of the colleges have below $3,000 to recruit with. So they make one trip out of state to go see a player. They're going to use half their recruiting budget. So they're going to rely on some real quality, accurate skills video. And by the way, I see this lately in recent years. Some dad, it's usually a dad, sorry dad, okay? It's usually a dad that'll take a couple of swings, a clip of a couple of swings, put it on his Instagram and try to tag some college coaches. That's not how recruiting works. They're not sitting in their office, I'm going to work on recruiting for 2 days, so I'm going to run down some thousands of Instagram accounts to see if I can see a couple of swings. It's not how it works, okay? So think about quality skills video. You need that. Again, SkillShow is the best I know of, and I've been around a long time. So, and I don't work for them, by the way.
What's a realistic age for them to start looking at players and videos? Yeah. Do you want to speak a little bit as a college coach, former college, or 2 college coaches here?
So the recruiting video, skills video, is similar to a profile. We'll talk about that shortly, but when do we start this process? When do we want college coaches to know about us? That's a question a lot of people ask. I can tell you that Division I schools, out of the 1,667 colleges, 299 are Division I. That means 82% of the opportunities below the D1 level. Again, what they're doing is try to evaluate players and predict players' development physically and mentally in 15 to 18-year-olds or 14 to 18-year-olds or even 13 to 18-year-olds. I can tell you a lot of Major League scouts that saw Bryce Harper when he's 14 years old. They already knew about him in Vegas. We hope there's some Bryce Harpers in the room here, okay? But college coaches are tracking players, so they want to see your trending. So they want to see how you are physically now and check on you continually every 6 months, a year. You update video, update skills video, and we'll talk about communicating with college coaches, but they want to see you tracking. They don't just walk in your senior year and say, oh yeah, I like him. They're trying to predict how you're going to be in a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road. Same in Major League Scouting.
You want to speak at all from a coach perspective?
Just so you guys don't think I'm the sea lion with ADD that's sunbathing over here. So that's kind of what I feel like walking around. But no, as a college coach, and I'm at a Division III junior college, right? So I'm not Vanderbilt, not Notre Dame, not Miami. The thing that's important for me to know, and probably 99% of college coaches out there, is your son, is your daughter, is your family interested in our program, right? I don't have time to go through the 107,000 players that are on NCSA as college players. I don't have time to go through the 45,000 players that are within the perfect game profiles. I can't do that all, but what I can do is look at a profile of a family that says, I am interested in your school. Okay, so to answer your question, do I encourage or condone, or do I get excited about seeing a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid verbally commit place? Not so much. But do I, as a college coach, get excited if your family says that you're interested in my program or another one out there? Absolutely. Because you're saving a lot of heartache, a lot of time. You're streamlining the process on both sides because there are so many players out there. And the number one thing that people don't understand is that you're expecting them to come to you and I know Don's got a great analogy about that later, you're expecting them to come to you rather than realizing that what we really want is for you to come to us. Okay, for you to come to us and let us decide whether or not that you could play for our school, but you'll never have that opportunity to know unless you come to us and at least ask that question. So I'm going to go back to sunbathing.
Do you get feedback back from, as a coach to the family, whether you're interested or not, then too? So I send something out to you and you say, he's not interested, I'm not interested in your son. Do coaches tell you that then? So you don't waste your time anymore with that school? Do you get information back?
I think you'd be lucky if a coach did come back to you and say, I'm not interested. That's a class act coach. Would you want to?
So here's my analogy on that, and I guess this group's a little bit young, but we'll even back it up. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but my assumption is that your son or daughter that's here was because that, you're in love with somebody, right? Okay, well, if that person at some point in time just ignored you, you probably wouldn't be sitting next to your child right now, right? We're not going to get into details. I'll spare you those. Okay, so that is, if you want to know how a coach is not interested, you're not going to hear anything back. If they're interested and it's within compliance and within recruiting rules, like they're going to reach out. They're going to send you a camp invite. They're going to take some proactive measure to acknowledge the fact that you're interested in their school. So now I'll turn it over.
Sure. And just to finish up on video, I mean, obviously I'm passionate about video. We started the company in 2001, and the goal was, look, you can't hide athleticism. Okay, I can see athleticism quickly if I see a couple swings or throws or fielding a ground ball or throwing a couple balls off the mound. And the truth is, in the process of recruiting and being proactive, I learned back in my own process that I should have started earlier in communicating to the schools that I wanted to go to and giving myself a chance to get recruited by just showing them myself and my athleticism via video. Because to what Don said earlier about coaches and the recruiting budgets, there's such little recruiting budgets in baseball, like football and basketball. I went to Villanova, talked to the Villanova basketball coach. He's like, if I want to see a guy in Alaska, I get on a plane, I go see him in Alaska. You talk to the same coach at Villanova in baseball, he's like, I can't go to New Jersey tomorrow because I got some commitments here. Like, they just don't have the same money for their sport and for recruiting. So from a video perspective, it is the best tool you have with which to introduce yourself to a coach. And I can't tell you how many people over the years have said, I wish I started earlier. So I would be lying to you if I said your 13-year-old video is going to get you a college commitment right now. It's not. But video is also a phenomenal tool for player development. I use video for myself, and I'd go out there and I'd see video. I'd get video from an event or from something I did or even self-filming from my dad. And I'd go back, I'd look at my swing, I'd look at my stuff, and I got better from it. I'd sit down with my coach and talk about it. So video is a phenomenal tool for many reasons. But to the point, a lot of guys do progressive profiling stuff with video over time. And I think it's a great tool. But I think once you start getting into the high school years is when you do want to start using it, and you may want to start introducing yourself to schools. The schools that are interested will track you. And that's kind of what these guys said too. They do track and follow, and they want to know that you're interested. So if you don't introduce yourself and tell them you're interested, to Nelson's point, they may not know that you exist, and you may never get that knock on the door from your favorite school. The fourth thing on our list? Fourth, right? We had academics. We had a third-party scouting report, we have video, and the fourth thing is an online profile. So, Perfect Game is phenomenal. You're going to get a great player profile on Perfect Game. It's part of this weekend, right? And you probably have a high school website, and you probably have a profile on your high school website. And you probably play for a travel team, and you got a profile there. The challenge is, if I Google you, I might find something from social media, I might find something from a press release, I might find something from your high school site, I might find something for Perfect Game. And those are great, but the challenge is, which one of those are you controlling the narrative, right? Like with Perfect Game, if you come here at 13 years old, but you don't go to another Perfect Game event for the next couple of years, that information is extremely valuable from what they got, but they may not know what you're doing next year or the year after. So you either come back to Perfect Game again, which is completely, suggested, but if you didn't, how are you controlling the information that's available of you online? So you have video, let's say you have a previous scouting report here and you have some new information, or you have new information. But you got to have some form of online profile that you can direct people to kind of control the information, links you want them to go to, academic information, videos, and that kind of stuff. And that's where, again, just kind of talking about this weekend and some of the opportunities that we have between videos from SkillShow, scouting reports, and Perfect Game. NCSA is one of the most powerful engines you can imagine. It's not just a web profile, but it really is a profile system, an engine, a platform. I'll actually let Don talk a little bit more about it. But the fourth thing on our list is going to be some form of online presentation, online profile system.
So your sons, daughters, some may have softball players as daughters playing baseball, what have you, They are working as hard as they can, hopefully, to create the best academic and athletic resume possible. So a profile, online profile, you can get the cheap, free ones if you want, but a true quality, active online profile is like a resume. They're working hard to create the best athletic and academic resume they can. You guys, as parents, are spending money, on average, most families around the country, between $5,000 and $10,000 a year, travel, training, equipment, etc., to help them create the best academic and athletic resume they can have. But for some reason, for years around the country, in high school sports, all sports, people think this. High school coaches even think this. Sometimes club coaches think this. I'm going to sit back and wait for somebody to come and ask me for my resume. Is that how you got your jobs? Maybe if you're the #1 grad from MIT, they're knocking on your door when you graduate. You have to be proactive. It's like applying for a job. You have to take the initiative and have the right profile. Okay, and yes, Next College Student Athlete has the #1 platform in the business, in the world, without a doubt. I used to have a company that I would create platforms and profiles for. To do it the right way, it takes $1 million database. Okay, search engines to do it the right way. NCSA has that platform, the #1 in the world. So you must be proactive. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do it in every industry. But the resume is the important part. You know, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret about me. I love watching American Idol, The Voice, America's Got Talent. I even watch the ones in other countries that I don't even understand what they're saying. But I don't watch the finals. You know why? Because they end up picking somebody that I didn't want to win, and then I'm upset. Okay? But also, I love that initial audition. Jennifer Hudson and Carrie Underwood are megastars, right? They had to go to them. Carrie Underwood had to get off the chicken farm in Oklahoma and go to American Idol. She'd never been on a plane before, and show them her skills. Now, again, you guys are making the first step, strategy-wise, to come here to do that. But for college coaching, for college recruiting, you need to go to them. Right? If you are a blue chip prospect, and let me define that. Blue chip prospect in baseball, that's 1% of the high school baseball players around the country. If you're a blue chipper, then all you need to do is return phone calls. But a blue chipper is this in baseball. You will hear from 20 or 30 colleges after your sophomore year and get verbal offers going into your junior year. That's a blue chipper. That's 1%. But here's the good news. The majority of major leaguers were not blue chippers. I can name you a lot of phenoms that you've never heard of. Okay? And I'll talk more about that in a second. It's called the name game. But you have to be proactive. Again, 92% of the colleges have less than $3,000 to recruit with. You know, none of us can guarantee anything in this deal, but I can guarantee you this one thing, and I'm serious. They cannot recruit you if they don't know who you are. You have to reach out to them. You have to be proactive.
Thanks. So we don't have a ton of time left, so I'll get into the fifth thing. But just to go back to what we were saying too, look, between Perfect Game, between NCSA, between SkillShow, you don't have to use any of these tools. And this isn't necessarily us trying to sell this pitch. What we're trying to tell you is the 5 things you need. And whether you do these things yourself or you use the tools that are available to you here or elsewhere, we just want you to use them, right? This process, these things are still key things, whether you use these products or services or not. So I just want you to know, too, that these are great resources. It goes back to, too, is like, I'm doing home remodel right now. I can hammer, I can saw, but as soon as I had someone else do it, everything happened just a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, and I appreciate that than me trying to do it myself. The final thing we have in the 5 list is, in order to get recruited, you can have good academics, you can have an online profile, you can have a video, you can have a great profile. If you don't have a dialogue with the coach, you're probably not getting recruited. So the last thing you need to have is some form of communication with the coach or a school. So if you're sitting back and you're like, dude, I did everything. I went to Fort Myers. I got the video. I hooked up with NCSA, talked to one of their people, signed up. Those are awesome. It doesn't guarantee you, though, anything. So you can't say, hey, my high school coach has a Rolodex of college coach. He knows everybody. He's always telling me how he knows. Or, that doesn't guarantee you anything. If you are not talking to the coach and you think someone else is talking to them for you, if the coach isn't talking to you in return, sending you letters or any kind of messaging, the truth is you're not getting recruited. Now, college coaches have rules against when they can start contacting athletes. But guess what? You guys don't work for the NCAA. You don't have those rules. You can contact coaches now. So what we'll talk about, let these guys jump in, Don will jump in, but you can start a couple things. One, when you're on trips like this, if anyone here travel in from out of town? Everybody pretty much? Look, when you're on trips in these next couple of years too, when you go on trips, while you're here in Fort Myers, Florida Gulf Coast University is right down the street. If you go to East Cobb and go to a tournament the next couple of years and you're in Georgia or Atlanta area, there's tons of schools around there. Every time you go on a trip or a tournament or something like that, visit some of the schools and take a look. You can knock on a coach's door and open up. He opens up and says, come on in. You can have an unofficial visit just by knocking on saying hello. See if the coach is in town. You can reach out to coaches via email, through student-athlete questionnaires. You can go home to your hotels tonight and you can go on the website of colleges and you can fill out the student-athlete questionnaire. You know what that does? It puts you in their database. Guess where you weren't before you did that? You weren't in their system. You're officially in their system, and all of a sudden when they send mailers out, they may be bulk mailers that invite people to their camps, but guess what? You're getting a camp invite to your favorite school. So you're going to have to figure out some schools, maybe a list of 20 to 30 to start, and that is going to evolve over time, right? As you get older, you'll have different opinions, you may have family in Texas that you want to go to school near them. You might have religious preferences. You want to go to schools that have that. You may want to be an engineer, and you want to look at all the engineering schools. I mean, those kind of things, outside of being in the NCSA system, all searchable, those kind of things are reasons that every one of you makes you all different. Your best friend may want to go to the same school you do right now, but as you guys get older, you're going to realize you have differences of opinion, skill level, academics, everything, and somehow there'll be a separation of you and your family. And so the question is, what schools do you want to go to, and have you reached out to them in some way to get in their system? Okay? Let's let Don go.
Okay. We skipped over an item that I need to address with you guys, and I know you hear it about it all the time, social media, right? I know, again, I mentioned that you have to be on those social media, but let me tell you something. Every college program in the country has someone in their athletic department that once a college coach gives them a recruit list, it's their job to look you up on social media. So if in doubt, delete it. Clean it up. I know you hear it from your parents, everybody else. Why in the world guys your age, teenagers, still think that old people like me don't see your post is beyond me. You have to be living under a rock these days to not see a politician, an actor, a singer, a sports figure, an athlete that gets in trouble for what they post, right? So delete it, okay? And I'm not just talking about the drugs, alcohol stuff. If you post something or re-like, and I know none of you guys are on Twitter. It's old now. Facebook's for old people. I get it. But you post something and you think it's private. Yeah, good luck. But if you post something, how could Mrs. Jones give a biology test at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning? She's an idiot. And I see that as a college coach. I'm out. Next house. I have choices. I'm not going to deal with that. And parents, I've learned over the recent years that I need to say something about social media to you guys. When college coaches ask you to fill out questionnaires, they ask for the parents' social media handles. You think they ask for that just to say happy holidays? If you're posting something about why your kid's in a certain place in the lineup, how come you don't hit and run more, any critical statement about the coaching staff or the program or an event you went to, there's only one person that gets hurt in that, and that's your son or your daughter. So don't do it. Don't do it. Clean up the social media. There are the two biggest hurdles in this entire recruiting process. The two biggest hurdles. If you don't remember anything else I said tonight, remember these. The two biggest hurdles are geographic location of the school and the name game. Geographic location of the school. Everybody wants their son or daughter to have a full ride at a Division I school, start as a freshman, and you want the school to be 30 minutes down the road. Good luck with that. Okay? As I mentioned, there are 1,667 schools that offer baseball. Now, I live in Arizona. We only have nine four-year schools in Arizona that offer baseball. Missouri has 31, Kansas 22, Oklahoma 28, Texas 54. all throughout the Southeast, all those schools. So most of you, I think the majority of the players are from the East or the Southeast that are here for this event. But if you live west of the Mississippi, there's not a lot of colleges. And it's hard. I know I had 2 daughters go away to school. It's hard to think about them going away, but you need to remember that the wider the geographic span is, the more opportunity there is. Okay? Second thing is the name game. I met some of you guys here earlier. Will you guys go to Maple Woods College in Kansas City, Missouri to play baseball and go to school? Nobody? She said she would. How about Slippery Rock in Pennsylvania? Anybody go there? Nope. You don't send your son there? How about Wallace State in Alabama? How about Tallahassee Community College? How about Chipola College? How about Nova Southeastern down here in Florida? Anybody go there to play baseball? Nobody? You want to send your son there? Oh, he will back there. The dad would. Okay. Anywhere. Okay, you know where I'm going, right? Well, guess who played? Guess who signed out of Maple Woods College in Kansas City, Missouri? Albert Pujols. Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, Matt Adams, longtime big leaguer that's made about $50 million. You know the funny reliever, Craig Kimbrell? He signed out of Wallace State. Nova Southeastern, I mentioned, that's J.D. Martinez, right? You know who that is. You guys heard of Jose Bautista, Russell Martin, Patrick Corbin. They all signed out of Chipola College. And Chipola College had 8 players drafted in the Major League Draft last year. Oh, I know. You're going to go Google Chipola College now, aren't you? Right. Let me give you some numbers. This is not a knock on Division I, but everybody thinks they got to play Division I to play pro ball. It's not true. It's one of the biggest dream crushers in this whole deal. It's what I call the name game. Here are some numbers for you. It's been in my industry for 30 years. Out of 484 everyday major leaguers last year, only 18% of them, 18% signed out of a top 100 Division I school. And 48 of those Division I schools didn't have a single player in that 484 mix. So don't play that name game. Okay? They're great. Now, they're high school signs, international signs. You know, I used the 2017 Astros for a long time, and forget about the garbage can banging thing, okay? But 5 of their main players signed out of Texas Permian Basin, Middle Georgia College, Nova Southeastern, Connecticut, and some other school. But all anybody wants to talk about is that Alex Bredman signed out of LSU. This is about 3 main objectives for you guys, your future. Number 1, getting your college degree. It is a 40-year decision, not just a 4-year decision. Get your degree. Number 2, play the sport you love. Now, if you want to go to Florida State and sing the fight song and never play and wear the gear, fine, okay? And thirdly, get funding, right, parents? Funding. And it's not just baseball athletic scholarship money, grant money, aid money, merit money. If those are your 3 main objectives, get your degree, play the sport you love, and get funding, then you need to come to some grips with some things right now about their future, even though you're young, and having a strategy, and pursuing and being proactive and pursuing an opportunity. You have to have the right information. You have to reach out. You have to communicate the right way. You have to know the rules. Does everybody know what September 1st junior year is? Probably not. That's the first time that you can make an official visit to a college. An official visit. You guys know the difference between an official visit and an unofficial visit? Anybody know that? Some do. Official visit is when they pay some of your expenses or all of your expenses to come and visit. Every college coach in America will let you visit on your own dime. I was one. I'll schedule it for 1 o'clock so that I can get out of the office, meet you at the field, and then I'm going to go fishing or play golf or something. Okay? But that's one time where you can find out if they're really serious or not. Okay? What about a close period, a contact period, national letter of intent time? All these rules, like any other industry, if you don't know the rules of the game, if you don't know the terminology, you could get used in the process. Okay? So that calls for, in my opinion, some professional advice. All right? Next College Student Athlete, all of those dates, all of those definitions, all those terms are on the Next College Student Athlete website. They have recruiting coaches that walk you through the process. Okay? So they not only have the profile, the right type of skills video you need, it's a professional guidance through the process. I've been around this a long time. I've tracked NCSA, I've tracked SkillShow. They're the best in the world by far. NCSA also has a system that's called the roster select system, where a college coach, it's looking for a particular position, a search system where they can find you're playing that position, boom, right then, you're on the list. So I know when we close here, there's a QR code. There's one here on this sign. There's some others around here. You hit that code. There's a form on there that you fill out to see if you qualify for a recruiting coach with NCSA. And everybody talks about cost, okay? Cost. And everybody has an opinion. I see you guys walking in with backpack, 2 bats in it, 2 gloves, 2 pairs of shoes. Those cost anything? Parents, you know. So you have a choice. If you want to do this the right way, be proactive. And everybody asks at a young age, when do we start? Well, when do you want to be on recruiting boards? I can tell you that maybe some junior colleges, maybe some schools are not starting yet, but you see freshmen making commitments all the time, a verbal commitment from a freshman. Well, they didn't just all of a sudden know about him and offer him that verbal commitment, and they didn't just offer a verbal walk-on either. Okay, so yes, you can. So again, knowing all the rules, you can be offered as a freshman, but not if they don't know about you. So my suggestion of you, if you're serious about a college opportunity and you want to have a strategy, one more thing if I may, Tom, am I running too late? Have a strategy. So on this side of the sheet, you have a strategy of player development, training, equipment, lessons, club ball, events. On this side of the sheet, I'm going to write college recruiting strategy. What would you write down on that side right now? You need to have a strategy, and you need to be proactive. So good luck to you guys. I know Tom might want to finish up with something, or Nelson, but that's what I have to say. Good luck. Thank you for listening.
So we're pretty much done on time. It's we're right at 50 minutes, actually. I think we'll open up for questions if anyone wants to have questions. But just real quick, we don't have to come up and do this. We choose to do this because while we have tents out here and booths and we're out working at the events, the odds are, we know this just from experience, kind of like when you go through the airport and you see that Visa MasterCard table on your left, and how often do you guys stop and chat with the person at the table? I don't chat that often with the person at the table. And I know at these events sometimes we're sitting in our booth, not all of you guys are going to run up and say, hey, can I talk about my family and our college recruiting? So we do this, we kind of open up. We just hope you guys realize that we care. We're trying to transition knowledge that we've all lived and experienced. And if over the weekend you've got questions personally and you want to come to one of our booths, just know that we don't bite and that we're there to answer these questions. And our staff, we've got great teams of people that want to talk about this stuff. So whether you buy stuff or don't buy stuff, please ask questions. I mean, that's what we hope you're getting value out of this weekend beyond just on the field stuff. So that's pretty much all for the presentation. We could talk for way longer just because there's more to tell you, but we can't for the rest of these, just for the time. So if there's questions you guys want to ask, group questions, great. Otherwise, we'll be up here a little bit after, and then we're here all weekend too as you guys have the event. So we'll open up any questions if anyone has them. Question back there? For the perfect game, what's that?
If they can, be part of perfect game, maybe next year.
Are they in the event now for this weekend?
No, they go. We don't know about this. Yeah, my brother, he got his son, and he told me about it, but he didn't know.
Why don't we chat? We can chat afterwards. I mean, if they're not in the event now, if I'm understanding you correctly, we should chat afterwards, maybe on the side. That.
I want to know if they can be part of it.
They should be able to. I don't know why they wouldn't be, yeah. So, but we can chat after. You want to stop by and over after? I can maybe help answer that better, hopefully. Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
We're from international.
Mm-hmm.
How would you advise us to make our children more noticeable to the college university
Right.
here? What additional to the
Right.
national kids would you advise
Right.
us
Right.
to do?
Right. Well, hold on. So for those interested, she did ask what their international family, and they're wondering what they could do to kind of improve on their marketing to college coaches and stuff. And I think hopefully that's some of what we talked about tonight, but maybe come up and talk with NCSA a little about their system. But a lot of what we talked about tonight from the video and the profile and all that kind of stuff would be my answer, unless he's got a question.
You guys make sure and hit this QR code and submit the form. There's no financial obligation to at least submit the form to see if you qualify. At least take the call, find out, okay? So I would encourage you to hit this QR code, fill out that, and hit submit.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Do you still have your pamphlet?
Yes, sir. You mean this